Welcome to the realm of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Enjoy listening. Pora had traveled a long and arduous journey to reach Earth, and when she finally arrived, everything felt foreign to her. She had learned about this planet, its people, and its ways, but being there in person, breathing its air, and feeling its atmosphere was entirely different. She had one singular purpose: to find Carl Ambrose. Finding him was no easy task. For weeks, she wandered through cities, hiding her identity, trying not to draw attention. She adapted to Earth's lifestyle as best as she could. The technology here wasn't as advanced as what she was used to, but their security systems were tight. The most recent information she had about Carl was that he worked at the Space Research Council. Gaining access to the council wasn't simple, but Pora was patient. For days, she observed the surroundings, studying the comings and goings of the building. Finally, under the cover of night, she exploited a security vulnerability and slipped inside. She spent her days hiding, infiltrating their systems, and tracing Carl's whereabouts. But one day, she was discovered. When Pora was caught outside the council building, surrounded by guards with stern expressions, she felt utterly defenseless. Her hands were cuffed, and as she was led to the interrogation room, 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind. She had come so far to find Carl, and now everything seemed to be falling apart. Yet, deep inside, she still held on to hope. Perhaps this interrogation could bring her closer to him. In the cold, metallic interrogation room, she was seated on a hard chair. Across from her were 2 security officers and an intelligence agent. The questions came fast and sharp. Who are you? What are you doing here? How did you breach our systems? Pora tried to remain silent, but eventually she couldn't hold back. I'm looking for Carl Ambrose, she said. The mention of his name caused a brief pause among the officials. Carl Ambrose was one of the council's most valuable scientists, and a stranger asking for him raised suspicions. They immediately contacted Carl. When he entered the interrogation room and locked eyes with Pora, he was transported back to the unforgettable days they had spent together on a distant planet. His heart raced as he saw her again. She was still the same Pora. Her eyes held the same innocence and strength. But the surprise on Carl's face quickly turned to a somber seriousness. He approached her slowly and said, "Pora, seeing you here, it's incredible. But things are different now. I'm married." The hopeful expression on Pora's face vanished. Hearing that Carl was married wounded her deeply. When they had parted years ago, they had promised to reunite one day. But now, someone else had entered Carl's life. Pora averted her gaze and whispered, "I understand." Carl felt Pora's sorrow. He wanted to respond, to say something, but he didn't know what. He still cared for her, but his responsibilities and commitments held him back. The silence lingered in the room. Finally, Carl asked, "How did you get here? Why now?" Pora looked back at him and said softly, "I had to find you. Things on my planet are getting worse. We need your help." Carl listened carefully. He had heard rumors about the crisis on her planet, but he hadn't realized how dire the situation was. He wanted to help her, but he was torn. He had a life here on Earth, a marriage and responsibilities. "Give me some time," he said. "I need to think about this." Pora understood his dilemma. She wanted to give him a chance. "Okay," she whispered, "but please don't forget that we really need your help." Carl didn't want to hand Pora over to the authorities. He arranged for her to be released and temporarily housed in one of the council's guest rooms. Alone in the room, Pora replayed the memories of her time with Carl. Her love for him was still as strong as ever, but now there was a greater obstacle in her way: Carl's marriage. The next day, Carl visited her. He had decided to help her, but he didn't want to risk his own life in the process. "I'll do everything I can to investigate the situation on your planet," he told her. "But we need to do this officially with the council's support. You'll have to trust me." Pora felt Carl's sincerity and trusted him. The two began working together. Carl informed the council officials about the crisis on Pora's planet and secured the formation of a research team. However, as they worked together, Carl's marriage began to strain. His wife had noticed his growing interest in Pora, and it troubled her. Carl was caught between two loves: his lingering feelings for Pora and his responsibility to her planet and his marriage and life on Earth. Pora, meanwhile, tried to suppress her feelings for Carl, but with each passing day, her attachment to him grew stronger. Carl had made his decision. He wanted to choose Pora, to honor the past and the promise he had made to her. But he couldn't just abandon his life on Earth overnight. He needed to divert attention and escape safely. Over the next few days, he meticulously planned their escape. He hacked into the Council's data systems to stage his own death. According to official records, he would perish in a space accident during a classified mission. To make it believable, he arranged for a small unmanned probe to explode, leaving behind fake biometric evidence that would confirm his death. Everyone would believe he was gone. Pora knew the plan was risky, but she trusted Carl. They decided to use a hidden cargo ship for their escape. Once the ship left Earth, they would transfer to another vessel waiting for them in the depths of space. As the moment arrived, Carl took one last look at Earth. His wife, his colleagues, the life he had built, he was leaving it all behind. But Pora was with him. Being with her again was worth more than anything. When the final transfer was complete, Carl and Pora were free. They had no ties left to Earth. As they journeyed toward Pora's planet, Carl felt a sense of peace. By his side was the woman he loved, and ahead of them was a new life. The ship's engines hummed softly as they drifted through the vast expanse of space, the stars stretching endlessly around them. For the first time in years, Carl felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He had made his choice, and though it had cost him everything he had known on Earth, he knew it was the right one. Pora sat beside him, her presence a comforting reminder of why he had taken this leap of faith. The journey to Pora's planet was long, but it gave them time to reconnect. They spent hours talking, reminiscing about the past and dreaming about the future. Carl learned more about the crisis on her planet, a deteriorating ecosystem, dwindling resources, and a society on the brink of collapse. Pora's people had sent her to find Carl because they believed his expertise in interstellar technology and environmental systems could save them. Carl listened intently, his mind already racing with ideas and solutions. He had always been a problem solver, and now he had the chance to make a real difference. As they grew closer to their destination, Carl couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. He had spent his entire career studying other planets, but he had never imagined he would one day be part of a mission to save one. Pora's planet, known as Lyrian, was a place of breathtaking beauty, with vast oceans, towering mountains, and skies that shimmered with hues of purple and gold. But beneath its surface, the planet was struggling. The once thriving ecosystems were failing, and the people were desperate for a solution. When they finally arrived, they were greeted by a small delegation of Lyrian's leaders. They welcomed Carl with gratitude and hope, their eyes filled with a mixture of relief and desperation. Pora introduced him as the man who could help them, and Carl felt the weight of their expectations settle on his shoulders. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was determined to succeed. Over the next several months, Carl worked tirelessly alongside Pora and the Lyrian scientists. They analyzed data, conducted experiments, and developed new technologies to restore the planet's ecosystems. It was grueling work, but Carl found it deeply fulfilling. He had always been driven by a desire to make a difference, and now he was doing just that. Pora was by his side every step of the way, her unwavering support and belief in him giving him the strength to keep going. As they worked together, their bond grew stronger. The love they had once shared rekindled, deeper and more profound than before. They spent their evenings walking along the shores of Lyrian's shimmering lakes, talking about their dreams and hopes for the future. Carl realized that he had found not only a new purpose, but also a new home, a home with Pora. Their efforts began to bear fruit. The technologies they developed started to reverse the damage to Lyrian's ecosystems. The skies grew clearer, the oceans cleaner, and the people of Lyrian began to hope again. Carl became a hero to the people, but he always credited Pora and the Lyrian scientists for their contributions. He knew that it was their collective effort that had made the difference. One evening, as the sun set over Lyrian's horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Carl took Pora's hand. They stood together, watching the beauty of the planet they had worked so hard to save. "I never imagined my life would turn out this way," Carl said softly. "But I'm glad it did. I'm glad I found you again." Pora smiled, her eyes filled with love and gratitude. "You gave us hope, Carl. You gave me hope. And now, we have a future together." Carl pulled her close, and they shared a quiet moment, the weight of their journey finally lifting. They had faced countless challenges, but they had overcome them together. And now, as they stood on the brink of a new beginning, they knew that their love and determination would carry them through whatever lay ahead. In the years that followed, Carl and Pora continued to work together, not just to restore Lyrian, but to build a new life. They married in a ceremony surrounded by the people who had become their family, and they dedicated their lives to ensuring that Lyrian would thrive for generations to come. Carl had left behind the life he had known on Earth, but in doing so, he had found something far greater, a love that transcended time and space, and a purpose that gave his life meaning. As they looked out over the vibrant, thriving planet they had saved, Carl and Pora knew that their journey had been worth it. They had faced the unknown, taken risks, and made sacrifices, but in the end, they had found happiness. Together, they had built a new world, and in that world, they had found their place. And as the stars twinkled above them, they knew that their story was just beginning.